my name is Madeline Hansson, and today I'm going to be teaching about placing grid cells in the brain, which allow humans and animals a sense of place and a sense of direction. Okay, so I just want to reiterate the function of place cells and grid cells before I go into the next part. Place cells are the visual component of memory. They are our environment of what we see and where we are in an exact location. And so place cells, they give grid cells the next destination that we want to travel to. Well, grid cells are the movement and positioning in memory. They signal our distance and the direction we travel, and then also they can map efficient ways to travel to a new location. And this is because grid cells record on one big map, so they can see that where we are in the beginning, and they can see the location we want to go to from place cells, and connect these two locations on this. This is the same diagram as earlier. The entorhinal cortex is right here, and it is right underneath the hippocampus. So it structurally makes sense that these two locations are working together for memory, especially when we already know that the function of the hippocampus is this diagram should help more understanding how place cells fire. So this shows a rat at the beginning of the tube and all the different place cells that would fire as the rat moved through the tube, and they're represented by the different colors. So the first time through the tube, this rat would have, it would take a while for it to travel through because all the information is new. And so if it moves forward, there's one place cell that fires and it records that the rat is in this location in this environment, and it records what it sees. But then if it moves forward, a different place cell is firing, because the rat has moved location and what it sees has changed. So the first time, as I said, it would take a while for the rat to travel through the tube, but the more and more times that the rat travels through, it is becoming more ingrained in its memory of what it has to see, where it is in the location, so it can mentally picture itself moving through an environment, and this is because a cognitive map allows you to mentally picture, place an environment, and travel through. This is why you can start at your house and travel to your parents' house. So place cells are evenly distributed throughout the hippocampus, but grid cells are not. They are smaller at the top and larger at the bottom. And you can see in this diagram right here that all the cells are very small and they're very close together. And this is at the very top of the cortex. But then as you go down, you can see the cells are getting bigger and a little bit farther apart until you're at the bottom when the grid cells are very big. And so at the top, each time you go down a layer, the place cells increase by 1.42, so they're 1.42 times bigger. And so that means that the grids are bigger. So like any part of the body, there can be a problem that arises and it can cause an impact. And so the brain is essential to proper function. And so when it's damaged, it can have a huge impact on people's lives, and it can also be irreversible. So one disease that goes along with the impairment of the episodic memory is Alzheimer's disease. So the first symptoms of Alzheimer's disease is a sense of where you are and you have trouble navigating through different places. And then eventually you just have a lack of memory usage, so things like episodic memories, you can't remember personal things, you have trouble remembering who you are or those around you, and then eventually you forget everyday objects. So the brain on the left is a normal, healthy brain at its regular size, and the hippocampus and the entorhinal cortex are right here. As you can see, there's two. And then the brain on the right is a brain that has been impacted by Alzheimer's. As you can see, it has shrunk severely, especially regarding to the size of the hippocampus. So that's its normal size, and then with Alzheimer's, it shrinks quite a bit. So because of the first symptoms that happen with Alzheimer's, where you lose a sense of where you are and like have trouble navigating, the hippocampus is the first to be impacted, and it's suggested that placing grid cells are the first cells to be impacted. So because that is their main function. And as you can see in the picture, the entorhinal cortex and hippocampus begin to deteriorate.
Good. Why can it travel based on vision? Place cells. Yeah, you
getting pretty far. Good job.
That's when, that's that.
Yes, good job.
But that's not.
This is left side.
Wait.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not right. right.
So, okay, so when you think about place cells firing, are there many cells firing at one spot in all different locations?
There's one at each.
Yeah, so I feel like this one might be, this one might be going.
Record distance and direction the same as like visual input or no?
What cells record your movement?
That's grid cells right there.
So that would match up with a grid cell flash.
Can you travel based on vision?
Place cells.
The next destination
Is place cells.
not grid cells or border cells.
Yeah, right there.
So that might match up with
It does match up to there, I bet you.
And so if this is the right side, what this means?
Left side.
That's not here.
No, but I'm so confused now. That's not right. Then. Is this correct? What? This is correct?
Yeah, that's good.
Path integration.
Keep track of movement unconsciously.
So these cells would be cells that do not rely on your memory. That's why you don't have to worry about what you can see.
So those cells would be grid cells because grid cells are the one that do movement.